Everybody, welcome back. We are here at Weichert, Loudoun County with Rich Blessing. Rich, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Excellent. So Rich, many of you know Rich. Rich has been in real estate in our area for a few years now, both residential, commercial. You know him as a real estate agent. We want to dive a little bit more into figuring out what's the story of Rich Blessing, and then we'll talk about what's your kind of business ventures moving forward. Is that okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Excellent. So Rich, start from the beginning. What's the story of Rich Blessing? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I'm from the Philly area, to New York, back to Philly. I was with Mobil Oil at the time, back in the 80s, and they brought me back, they brought me down to this area, to Springfield. I was in the IT group back then. I just got my MBA in information systems, and I got transferred down, and I was over at, we used to call it Darth Vader's Castle, over across from the hospital on Gallows Road. So that's where I set up and came down, married. We raised our 3 kids in Springfield, eventually moved out to the Ashburn area, and I've been out here since '93.
Okay, so a legitimate long-term transplant.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
I feel like I have to get this out up front because I've seen some of your sports affiliations and who you root for and some things, and that causes some controversy. But tell us who's your favorite football team?
It's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Philadelphia all the way with
Phillies, Flyers, Sixers.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was hard. That was hard to hear. But you know what? It's a nice rivalry. We have that here in the office. Had a couple pretty good years. Not so great year last year, but
Well, yeah.
so I'm not rooting for their misery or anything. But it was nice to see them not repeat.
Right.
All right. So you came out here. Work got you relocated. Grew your family up here. So outside of, so what did you study? So you kind of took a specific path in terms of education there.
My path is a long and winding road.
Right.
I started off, I was a weatherman.
Yes.
Meteorology degree from a school in upstate New York called Oneonta. I worked for a company called Metro Weather. We were a competitor, at least back then, of AccuWeather. And I used to give the forecast on the radio stations up and down the East Coast.
You gotta give me some of that footage. Because I've been calling him the weatherman for a while now, and I don't have that footage. I want to see that. That's pretty awesome.
Unfortunately, what happens when you're in this business, or that business, it becomes more about the on-air talent than it does the science. And when it was more about, the radio station and Rich do this, Rich do that, I wanted to talk about the approaching storm. Who cares about the approaching storm? It's either going to snow or rain, right?
Right.
So I said, this is not going to be my career. It's not for me. So I wanted to get into business. I went back to school at night, got my MBA, worked for Mobil for a long time, realized I wasn't a Fortune 500 guy.
Okay.
So now I'm not an on-air meteorologist guy. I'm not a Fortune 500 guy. And basically got into business for the last 20 years. I worked in mostly training, corporate training, did a lot of training for the government, and then eventually got into search engine optimization before it was called SEO.
Sure.
And our clients were boutique brokers, real estate brokers, and large teams. So I was a digital marketing consultant to the trade for 12 years and finally said, you know what? I think I'm going to get my license.
I'm helping these bozos figure it out, right? I could probably do this as well. No, I met some of your actual clients, real estate agents, and they obviously raved about you as what you've helped them to kind of help them grow into this digital age. Before we take that full turn into real estate, I've been at multiple networking events with you, and it seems like everyone knows you from somewhere unique. And I often hear coach. Right?
Coach.
Tell me about that.
Coach Rich. Being a big sports guy, I have 3 kids. My son is an artist, and he was not much into the sports, but my girls are the athletes in the family. And I'm a big baseball guy, so I taught them how to play softball. We played softball at a high level, a national level, ASA. For those of you in the softball world, you know ASA level. And we toured around the country playing ball. And my youngest ended up with a D1 scholarship, played ball, pitched at George Mason her last 2 years, was very successful. And my oldest daughter ended up being a high school coach. She was the Rock Ridge softball coach for 2 years.
That's pretty exciting.
Then she got a baby.
Right? So half of you're staring at him like he's got that face, right? Know him from real estate, or you know him as Coach Blessing there?
Always involved in the community, you know. I was involved with the church. You see me out on the street all the time. Being out with neighbors, being out with the community, doing things, volunteer work. Just like being out with,
Sure.
with everybody.
So weatherman, well, okay, I'm not gonna let that slide. 2019 had a crazy start to the year in terms of weather.
Right.
Like, I mean, what is that? You know, where are we in terms of spring, summer? Are we completely shifted, or is it just? Do you have any scientific data to kind of support what's happened, or where we're going to go?
So now you're going to push me into
the
the global warming argument?
I'm going to put you on the spot there, right?
Well, I'll just tell you this. As a scientist, the Earth is always changing. Climate is always changing. We've had 6 ice ages, so we must have had 6 global warming periods, right? The Earth cools and warms because of the sun.
Sure.
We have a pollution problem. We as humans have to take care of the Earth and to be better stewards, but we're not causing the climate to change. In fact, global warming is not the issue coming up in my mind, it's global cooling. And just Google sunspots, guys, and you'll see that the sun is in a little bit of a dormancy stage, and it'd be better if the Earth was warmer than cooler. Cold kills people, warm just makes you uncomfortable.
So I'll let you geek out a little bit on your information there, and you didn't know I was going to pull up, get into a hot spot or a hot topic there.
No, you surprised me with that.
Yes, but let's talk about your path in terms of you've been here, you were helping the real estate agent. At what point, why did you make that move? Why did you decide to say, you know what, let me do this, let me start a real estate business?
Well, I wanted to actually get involved in helping my clients, which were boutique brokers, understand. I needed to understand real estate better. I was becoming more of a business consultant to them, not just a marketing consultant. So I went back and I started principles in real estate, and I said, you know what? I came home, told my wife after 3 days, I'm going to get my license. And she went, oh God. Another opportunity for Rich to go somewhere. And when I got involved in real estate, I still had the consultancy practice, so I was kind of a dual agent for a while. But the thing that I could really bring to the table and help my real estate colleagues with is just the training, the onboarding, and running their business. And as a result, I started getting more and more commercial real estate leads. And I said, you know what, I think I like this a little bit better. I mean, I love the residential stuff, it's nice, but I'm a businessman. And I just love being with businessmen and women, and I think the commercial space, that's my calling.
I remember the first commercial lead I think you dealt was one that I kind of put in your lap.
That's right, you dropped it right on me.
So Rich started with us, and for those who know the real estate space, we're not equipped well to handle commercial because it's different. The vast majority of real estate agents and practitioners handle residential. And because of that, there's not a lot of training, there's not a lot of resources and forums. And so we got a commercial, one of our clients, wanted help with commercial, and we didn't have anyone in the office to kind of help out with that. So I said, Rich, what do you think? You want to work on this together? And Rich, his eyes lit up right there. His eyes lit up. I think I got him addicted to that commercial world very, very early on there. Fast forward a few years later, you got your associate broker's license.
Right, got a broker's license, thanks.
So that's the master's in real estate, so associate broker's license. And let's talk about, this transition into the mindset of the commercial and what we're trying to do. We've went back and forth probably for, I don't know, we've known each other for a very long time, over 6 months, a year, probably talking about our ambitions.
Probably longer than a year. Right?
Yeah, to really serve that commercial real estate community better than the real estate market is doing right now.
Well, there's 2 realisms that just struck me that were a rude awakening. The first one is the only similarity between residential real estate and commercial real estate is that usually there's property involved.
Yes.
And that's it. The other realism, and this is a little more upsetting to me, is commercial people don't really like residential people. And residential people don't really like commercial people. There's a couple reasons for that. But I think it's silly. We really should be working together. Commercial people should be helping us drive and learn how to do commercial transactions. And we could be bringing a lot more in the way of leads and business to the commercial world. So setting up a commercial division within a residential footprint has been a dream of mine and yours for a long time. So went about doing a lot of studying on this, went through a lot of training, and I've been out there just canvassing, writing a business plan on how it should be done, and I'm excited. I actually see that there are commercial people that will work with us, there are residential people that will work with commercial, and I think at the end of the day, it's just figuring out how do these come together. Now, one doesn't tell the other how to drive the transaction. We bring it together and work as a team. And that's for the betterment of not just the community, or I should say, not just the client, but the community.
Sure.
If we're doing a better job, especially in the Loudoun County, Western Fairfax area, even out to Winchester, then we're helping the community, aren't we?
Absolutely. It's funny because you and I were sitting down with a commercial practitioner just last week, right? Thinking about getting into, maybe not really getting into the residential space, but having the questions and just the lack of understanding that they have of the residential world,
Right.
Was humorous, but that's the lack of understanding that many residential agents have in the commercial world. And the opportunity, so many of our clients, Weichert Realtors, we help thousands of clients buy and sell, right? And then many of them are entrepreneurial, they have businesses or they want to grow, transfer businesses, and they've come to us in the past and we've helped a bunch of them, just
Right.
kind of, but without the full slate of training and resources that we're putting out there now. So we have now the potential of all of our clients, all of clients of real estate agents at many different companies are actually sending you referrals to help their commercial clients
Right.
because the industry is not set up to help the commercial industry. And maybe it's because of where the market went over the last 5+ years. But what we see in terms of Northern Virginia, Loudoun County heading out this way, the potential growth and the projected growth.
Right.
This is tremendous.
Right.
So we've been, even before we created this partnership, attending many commercial things together, kind of plotting out what is that growth. And we really feel in terms of real estate, the boom that is coming, in this area, commercial real estate wise, is the real estate industry is not prepared for.
Right.
And so we are putting something in place to get ready for that.
Right, and there's a lot of things, everybody wants to talk about Amazon and HQ2, or HQ 1.5,
Yes.
as I like to call it. That's far to the east, and we will have some ripple effects here eventually, but that's not what we're geared up to do. But let's talk about Amazon for a minute. If you're a commercial enterprise and you're a commercial broker, you're trying to work in the commercial space. But what about all the people that have to buy a house?
Yeah.
Now, if you were a commercial broker, wouldn't it be great to say, oh, by the way, and we can help all of your workers, all of your staff find homes, because we have a residential group that we work with.
Absolutely.
And if those two, the synergies are unbelievable. I think 1 + 1 = 3 in every
Sure. Yeah, no, and that was one of the things we talked about is having and to be honest, when we first started this conversation, is like I was going to be doing something and you're going to be doing something, and never thought about doing it together right up first. We both had this passion of growth, kind of fixing this industry. Actually, you worked and were instrumental in creating really the first commercial real estate networking group, right? Of
That's
practitioners.
correct. That's correct. There's another gentleman who is of similar mind to me. He is from the commercial world. He is now in a residential brokerage, and the two of us form the Loudoun County Commercial Real Estate Group. And we just know that there is a real reason for residential and commercial to work together, not to be fighting and competing with each other. Bring them together. So he's working on his brand, I'm working on this brand, and there's other people out there as well. And
Sure.
I'm convinced, call me naive, maybe call me a little ignorant, but at the end of the day, I think that there is just too much benefit that could come to the commercial group and to the residential group by working together. Just got to figure it out.
And one of the key pieces you mentioned, you got the big employers coming in and being able to help them on the commercial side and also be able to help all their employees.
Right.
And one of the key elements that we have is we have one of the largest relocation companies in the United States, at Weichert Realtors, and we have several smaller relocation companies that we've bought to kind of fold in. So we're able to help many of those already through our suite of relocation services. So we
Right.
saw that as an attractive fit to kind of help that. But So you're the executive director of our division here, commercial division here in Loudoun County, Northern Virginia, really, you know, as we're kind of defining the territories. What's your vision, your growth plan, your projection? You know, let's shoot out over the next 3 to 5 years in terms of, because I believe we're doing something that hasn't been done before. I really believe we're getting to that, and it hasn't been done, and maybe in the future people will try to create what we're creating, but let's talk about that vision.
Well, let's reel it back for a minute. There are residential companies that have done this before and are trying to do it.
Sure.
But not to the extent that we're
Scale,
doing.
yes.
I mean, we're blowing this up. The other thing is that I think that you can't have a residential agent practice in the commercial space and vice versa.
Yeah.
You can transition, but you really have disciplines and you have to focus on them. Same thing in the commercial world. I don't think you can take somebody who has done office condos for the last 3 years and then have them go represent a tenant who's going to need 5,000 square feet over there in that strip mall. That can't be done without some hiccups and a lot of help.
Sure.
So we're going to have teams. We're going to have teams that focus on property types, and we're going to have teams that focus on representation types. Those teams can grow. We'll let the market dictate which teams come first. For instance, we're in Loudoun County. If we don't have a land development team, if we don't have somebody who takes care of the luxury homes or farms, then we're being remiss, right? So that's something that we're putting together at the same time. So 3-5 years down the road, we'll see how the market drives it. But the way we're seeing it right now, we will have specialists. Somebody comes to me and says, Rich, I need this type of representation. All right, I'm going to call up Bobby. I need this type of representation. I'm going to call up Sue. So that's what we're going to do. It's not one hat worn by, or one person wearing many hats, so to speak.
And to speak to the need of this, and I remember the first day we officially announced, you know, the opening of the division and Rich leading the growth of this division. I think we got 3 or 4 leads, calls from our agents, or real estate agents of, hey, I've been sitting on this, didn't know what to do with it. Can you meet with this guy? He wants to buy this. He wants to, you know, lease this. You know, so there's business out there. There's people that we haven't been able to fully help up until this point, and I'm excited to be able to help really our customers on not just their residential side, their commercial side, you know, moving forward. And this is probably going to be one of many updates that we do because, you know, this is going to be growth. Right? We kind of have our 10-month, 1-year, 5-year projections and plans, and it might go faster than that, right? So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it should be good. And I think that, you know, let's go back to the synergies between residential and commercial again. Every residential agent knows a commercial deal.
Yes.
But very few have ever engaged or actually completed a commercial transaction for many, many reasons. Now we're going to put in that process. So if we go out to our residential agents and say, here's how you pre-qualify, you know, if somebody is looking for some space because they have a great idea, no business plan, no experience, please don't send them to me. right? But if we can help them, we'll help them. And there'll be a process of getting this in and a referral back to that agent.
Yeah, and what I'm excited about this, phase 1, I know that we're bringing on commercial practitioners or real estate agents that have lots of commercial space already filling the gap. But there's many divisions, right? So there's more room for that to grow. But phase 2, I'm really excited about because that's really the education phase, is when we get someone who is thinking about getting into the industry or in the industry and maybe transitioning over. The great thing about real estate residential side is there's lots of training, especially here at Weichert. That's what we pride ourselves in, right? A to Z, all the steps of training. That doesn't really exist in the commercial world.
Correct.
And we are going to be putting that together and making it possible for someone to make that transition. It's not for everybody. Just like real estate in general is not for everybody, but there's something very attractive about the commercial real estate space, and you know, the types of business networking, the deals that we're able to do, because you know, ultimately that's growth, right? You help someone buy a home, you know, that's one of the biggest decisions of their life, but you help a business move into the area, the amount of impact you're able to do to not just the employees, the owners, but the community itself on that level. It's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. I mean, last Monday, I was walking through a warehouse because this home supply company needs bigger space. So I wanted to see how to use the space. Just walking through, looking at these men running their business, the struggles that they have. That Tuesday, I was walking a sheep farm.
Yes, I remember that.
Right? And that Wednesday, I was working with an office condo. So it's really exciting. But you said something I want to go back to. It's really important. It's not our vision to take a residential agent and make them a commercial agent. And that's not what we're trying to do here. We're actually recruiting commercial people, just commercial people, to come in and drive our commercial business. Now, somebody from the residential space would say, you know what? I think I want to do that. Could I transition? Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But that's more of like an 85% commercial people,
Yes.
15% in
Yes.
transition. If that number works out, who knows? But commercial people drive commercial transactions. That's it at the end of the day. But if somebody from residential wants to learn how to do it, we'll show them.
And when we're talking about our education piece of being able to, so, you know, with that in mind, we're still educating all the residential agents in our company, but with the focus of you can be more educated in a conversation, because up until this point, it's like, do you know anything about commercial, about this? And it's like over the heads of most people in general.
Right.
So now you could have a good, intelligent conversation with your client and be able to figure out and help them get to a point of making a decision. Do they need to talk to Rich or so one of the specialists on Rich's teams? And you know, there's a synergy and partner that's created there as well. So I think overall, although all of our residential agents aren't coming over to work in commercial, they will better serve their clients because those are questions that we could, you know, answer without just saying, I'm not sure, defer to someone that we don't really know.
Right, right. And that's key. I mean, anytime anybody refers business to somebody, you're referring yourself, aren't you? So especially, it doesn't change because you're in real estate. So if somebody's going to refer a business client or a commercial client to us, they're worried, they're concerned.
Sure.
Is Blessing going to take care of them like I would take care of them when they're buying a house? Well, of course. And that's really something that we want to make sure that everybody understands, that if you send work our way, it's going to be like you're doing it. And that's important for our longevity and our growth.
It is, and the flip side from the client perspective, relationships are key, right? The
Yes.
comfort level. If you bought a few homes, you have a relationship with your agent, and you know and trust him, you trust the brand, that's excellent. And then now you're thinking from a business standpoint, it's completely different. Nothing I've used up to this point is relevant. I got to find a different firm, a different person, different process to be able to have your agent still make that warm handoff, make the connection, and be relatable to what you've done up until this point, especially for people starting out in the commercial space or the commercial needs. I think there's going to be a comfort level and transition that they're not going to find, you know, or that's not available in the marketplace right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not just agency representation and brokerage representation, but investments.
Yes.
People that are interested in not just getting a house that they're going to buy and then rent out on a monthly basis or yearly basis, but somebody who wants to really get involved in commercial real estate. Well, we're putting together a process for that as well. And one more thing to think about is, how about you want to have a business? You think you have a business, you need space, but you don't really have a business plan. Maybe you've gone to the SBDC, maybe you have not. We're going to put a process like a Business 101. So you come through our process, when you walk out, you have a business plan, you have a banking relationship, you have an attorney. By the way, in commercial real estate, attorney's always there. And you have that, kit and caboodle, you're ready to go and get a loan if that's what you needed, right?
So I was close to wrapping this up, and then you mentioned investments, and that's my passion right there. Many people, I've told this story before, I got into real estate for real estate investments in general, and we've been putting on this series, right? We do the buyer seminars, the education seminars for sellers, and we realize more and more people are interested in real estate investing in general, becoming an investor. So I said, okay, I'm a real estate investor, I actively invest myself. Let's put on this education series, and we've been through several of them. We've probably had 150 people so far through these events, and many of them have turned into, I've been thinking about this for a while, I want to do it. You know, but it's been residential up until this point. Like, so helping them buy properties, fix them up, sell them, rent them out, cash flow. You know, some people are becoming funders, gap funders, and things like that.
Right.
I plan on doing between 4 or 5 parts of this series, and one of the key ones probably towards the end is going to be that commercial investment as well, right?
Right.
Once you're comfortable in the residential investment side of things, what can you be doing in the commercial space? And we've just having a conversation this morning about blockchain and cryptocurrency and using that in commercial. So it's ever changing, but the one constant in terms of real estate investment is, you know, the growth and the appreciation and cash flow. So we focus on that. Doesn't matter how you get there. Anybody can become a real estate investor with the right plan. So,
Right.
so huge passion. We're doing that on the residential side. Rich is going to be helping us put that training together, and that's for the public. It's open to the public. It's free. You can stay tuned, and we'll keep you kind of in the loop of when that happens. So I feel this can go on forever, and there's going to be we'll have several updates to this, but I want to really just welcome Rich and introduce him to not just the team, but to the world, because this is something that, you know, we've been excited about for a while. So if you're in Loudoun County, Northern Virginia, general area looking, and you have a commercial need, real estate wise, reach out to Rich. And Rich, either himself or his team, once again, we're working with specialists, will work with you on that. Doesn't matter if it's flex space, office space, development, a sheep farm, multi-farm, right? So we're doing just about everything out there, and we're excited about that. So on the other hand, if you're an agent in the commercial space or someone thinking about getting into commercial space, we're actively hiring and training for those roles. So if you are excited about the future and development, economic growth of Loudoun County and this region like we are, come talk to Rich and see if there's a place for him on the team there. And so far, it's looking like we need a lot more people than we thought, based on the leads and the interest that we're getting, you know, coming in.
I'm surprised at the leads.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, 2-3 leads coming in a day.
Yeah.
And they're strong, legitimate leads, which is exciting.
Yes. So I think we're going to end it there. Rich, this is great. Thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, looking forward to working with you.
Same here. We'll put his information in the video, the link, reach out to him, and then check back in. I'm sure we'll have an update in a couple months.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.